がここにいるうちの本物のスクールスポーツのために行こうぜベイビーバンこの国は気をつけて、現実になることがありますからね。
Alright, so this is the post-fight review for Daigo Higa versus Seiya Tsutsumi, and your result of the fight is a draw. Another fight where Daigo Higa comes out here and he falls short of becoming a two-division champion, becoming a world champion in the bantamweight division. Daigo Higa, he's had 3 straight title shots. Lost to Yoshiki Takei, then had a draw with Seiya Tsutsumi. Now he's had a draw with Antonio Vargas. So, very, very weird run to say the least. If we're being 100% honest, it's a very, very weird run to say the least from Daigo Higa. He's an undersized bantamweight, so it was always going to be a challenge to become a world champion in this particular weight class. But it was announced, as you guys saw him crying in the clip in the beginning, it was announced after the fight that Daigo Higa is going to hang it up. He's going to call it a day. He's going to retire from boxing. So if he decides to follow through with that decision, then let me give my respect and congratulate him on a fantastic career. You know, Daigo Higa, the fighting pride of Okinawa, Japan, the former WBC flyweight champion. You know, nothing to be ashamed of. You know, he was just undersized for the weight class. You know, it's not. He didn't fight terribly in any of these fights. I mean, he did wind up dropping Seiya Tsutsumi, and he did wind up dropping Antonio Vargas. He just couldn't sustain his success throughout the fight. So let's talk about the Vargas fight, because a lot of people in boxing, in the boxing community, I saw a lot of people saying that Daigo Higa was going to run right through Antonio Vargas, and I didn't think that. I didn't make a video going into the fight, but I was talking about it on Twitter. And my prediction for the fight was I thought Antonio Vargas was going to win by decision, because really and truthfully, I thought that Vargas's boxing skills, his amateur pedigree, his ability to be patient throughout the fight, and Daigo Higa's inconsistency he's shown in the later rounds during this bantamweight run, I thought all these things would play to his favor. And guess what? They did, because early in the fight, Vargas was very patient out of the high guard defense. Wasn't really opening up too much. When he did, I believe it was in the 4th round. When he did, you know, Daigo Higa wound up dropping him. So he understood that he has to be smart. He has to figure out when to exchange and when not to exchange. And he got better with that as the fight went along, especially when he started stepping to Daigo Higa. In those middle rounds, you know, especially when Vargas started letting his hands go, then really blocking the shots after being responsible with his defense, he started to frustrate Daigo Higa, and the punch output lowered in the middle rounds, and that's where Vargas really seemed to catch his momentum going into the latter half of the fight. And then in the 12th and final round, ironically enough, in the 12th and final round, you know, Vargas wasn't like, he was landing punches on Daigo Higa, but the bigger puncher of the two was clearly Daigo Higa. So I didn't think there was going to be a knockdown in the 12th round from Vargas, but Daigo Higa got really, really irresponsible, and boom, he got hit with I believe it was an uppercut, and got knocked off balance. And Antonio Vargas scored a very timely knockdown in that 12th and final round. And a lot of people, myself included, thought that was going to be a difference maker possibly for Vargas to go ahead and get the nod and win the fight. But obviously Vargas didn't get the nod. He gets a draw. Daigo Higa retires. So, you know, that's one aspect of the equation. Now, after all this is over, one of my favorite fighters from Japan, Seiya Tsutsumi, got in the ring with the WBA title, and he pretty much, you know, expressed his desire to fight Antonio Vargas next. Now, funny enough, you know, Vargas had a WBA title. Sutsumi had a WBA title. So it's the first time I've ever seen a fighter walk into the ring with the same title that the fighter in the ring has and call them out. So that's boxing for you. You watch boxing long enough, you're gonna start seeing things you've never seen before. But nonetheless, that's a good fight, and that was actually supposed to be the initial fight. The Daigo Higa fight was always unnecessary, because Daigo Higa really Higa lost to Sutsumi, and they gave him a draw. He should have lost that fight to Sutsumi back in February. the only reason we got this fight in the first place, for those that know, for those that don't know, is because Sutsumi, he had a cut that he sustained in that fight. So he went to the WBA and told them that he would not be medically able to compete for a certain amount of time, and they said fine, no problem. They declared Sutsumi the champion in recess. They made Vargas, who won the interim title in his previous fight against Winston Guerrero, they elevated him to full champion, and they gave Daigo Higa another title shot. Higa got a draw. He couldn't get the job done. He retires. So now the fight that's going to happen now is Sutsumi versus Antonio Vargas. The fight to determine who is the real WBA Bantamweight champion. And let me tell you this, guys. I was excited about this potential fight when it was a possibility, and I'm still excited for it. You know, Antonio Vargas is a very smart fighter, and you guys want to know why I like Vargas? I'm gonna tell you guys why I like Vargas, because he's not one of these fighters. You know, he's like, you know, he's a match pretty tough, and he's been really, like, look at his last 4 fights. You know, he's been out here really fighting real competition, real live dogs. You know, he fought former world champion Hernan Marquez 4 fights ago. Then he fought Jonathan Rodriguez, who was on a high. Rodriguez had just stopped Cal Yafai and retired him. They fought. You know, he wound up beating him in a 7-round war. Then you had the Winston Guerrero fight. Winston Guerrero was an undefeated 22-0 fighter. Very dangerous puncher from Nicaragua. And then they fought Daigo Higa in Japan. So Vargas is getting a lot of great experience. You know, stuff that's going to level him up. And I think, from his perspective, this fight couldn't be happening at a better time for his next fight, because Sutsumi is one of these guys where you need to really make sure you're all your P's and Q's, because, you know, he does not get tired. I've watched him fight a bunch. I've seen him spar. The dude does not get tired. He gets stronger as the fight goes on. So, like, in this fight, Vargas fought very well in the latter rounds, but he's going to have to be even better down the stretch, because Seiya Tsutsumi fights his best in them deep waters. And he's a tricky fighter. He's not like a lot of Japanese fighters. He can box a little bit, even though he doesn't really do it anymore. He switches a lot. He shifts a lot. Volume and output is crazy. So, you know, I think it'll be interesting. If Vargas can hit him and hurt him and get his respect, then that would really play to his favor, because I think he's the defensively more sound guy. But it'll be a great fight, and it'll finally determine who is the real WBA champion. It's unfortunate that you know, Sutsumi was pictured with, Sutsumi was sitting next to Junto Nakatani at the fights, watching Daigo Higa, and I really think Sutsumi and Nakatani, that would have been a crazy fight. But you know, boxing's gonna do what boxing does. Nakatani, they're trying to get him to fight anyway. It is what it is. I ain't complaining about Sutsumi versus Antonio Vargas. Antonio Vargas is a dog and a real fighter. Sutsumi is a dog and a real fighter. So I look forward to 2 dogs and 2 real fighters getting it on when the time comes. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Daigo Higa, Antonio Vargas, and the potential fight with Sutsumi to determine who is the real WBA champion. So you guys, leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you could love me or you could hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.